Hello and welcome everyone to today's amazing session. If you can hear me, let me know in the chat that you can hear me. If you can hear me, just let me know in the chat that you can hear me. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Super excited to be here this morning. And if you can hear me, just let me know in the chat, okay? I'm reading every comment right now, and I want to personally welcome you. I want to personally welcome you to today's session. Okay, I can see some people already live. Amazing. Miss Fema, good morning. Oye, good morning. Mr. Delike, good morning. Chidima, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today? Let me see if I can switch this thing. Good morning, Mr. Oluwa. Good morning. How are you doing? Okay, let's go live. Oh, I can't. I see. I can't though. They said I can't. That I've already started the show, so I should stick to it. Okay. Okay. Great. Let us begin and do what we've come here to do. What to do? So, welcome to the Tensai Morning Show, where we discuss everything about raising genius kids. My name is Chris Obiga, and I'm your host. And today we'll be talking about why your child can read, but can they understand? In fact, today's subject is a question. Your child can read, but can they understand? Right? It's a question. Yesterday we talked about maths. We talked about maths and how most children are not bad at it and they were just taught wrong. Today I want to do the same thing, but for reading, because that's a huge problem that almost every parent misses. Your child reads out loud and they sound great, they're fluent, they're confident, they're not stumbling over words, and you think, okay, reading is sorted. But then you ask them what the story was about, and they look at you like you're speaking another language. They can say the words, they can tell you what the words mean, and that gap is one of the most dangerous things I've ever seen. I see in children's education. So let me explain. Let me explain what is happening. Let me explain what is happening. So there are two parts to reading. The first part is decoding, and decoding is basically turning letters into sounds. So CAT becomes cat. In fact, the way we pronounce it, you say cat, cat. Your child sees the letters, their brain translates them into spoken words, and the sentence comes out. This is what most people think that reading is, right? But there's a second part to it. There's a second part to it, which is way more important. And this is comprehension. For our people that are abroad, we see this more because typically the environment already supports a lot of talking, a lot of proper diction and all of that. So you wouldn't even be able to know that the fact that your child can speak doesn't really mean that they can understand what they're saying. Comprehension is turning those words into meaning. It's not just saying the cat sat on the mat. It's understanding that there's a cat, it's sitting somewhere, and it chose to sit on a mat. Is being able to picture the scene, is being able to answer, where is the cat? What is the cat doing? See, that sounds obvious with a simple sentence. But when you scale it up to a paragraph about photosynthesis or a story with multiple characters and a child who can completely or who can only decode, they're completely lost. They'll read the words for you, but nothing is going on. It's like listening to a song in a language you don't speak. It's like all those times that we used to listen to all those Indian music that they will be singing. Sunita Kiriko Kiriko. We don't know what they're saying. Right? They're reading the words, but nothing is going on. You can repeat the sounds perfectly. You can know where they paused, where they played, but you don't know what they're saying. And the reason why schools miss this is because schools mostly test for reading speed. They mostly test for reading speed. They test accuracy. They test your fluency. How many words per minute can your child read? Schools test, oh, can you stand in front of 20 people and recite what you read? And now in the name of a person, animal place something. This is how to do. And you're saying it, and you are on your seat, you are beaming. You are so proud that your child is reciting long and long and long words. Not saying it's totally bad, but then it doesn't optimize for the kind of learning. It doesn't optimize for who your child should be, or it doesn't optimize for the skill of comprehension, because all the school is focusing on is did they pronounce everything correctly? And if a child scores well on those metrics, they get marked as a good reader, above average, no concerns. But nobody sits down and says, ah, okay, you just read that paragraph. Now close the book and tell me, explain to me what you just read. That almost never happens in a formal way. In fact, it takes the grace of God and somebody who is more invested than others to do that. And even when it's asked, it's almost like I've already read this. Now, why am I supposed to defend what I read? It's almost like it's too much to do. That almost never happens in a formal way. So a child can go years being celebrated as a strong reader while actually understanding very little of what they read. And this shows up later in ways that confuse everyone. They start struggling in science because the textbook explanations don't make sense. They can't answer exam questions that require inference. They hate reading for pleasure because it's not pleasurable when nothing makes sense. So here's what I want you to do today. What I want to do today is I want to take 2 minutes, find a short paragraphs of your child at your child reading level. Find something that you know that your child can read. Right? Find something that you know that your child can read, maybe something from their textbook or a storybook, and then have them read it out loud. Then close the book and ask 3 questions. In fact, before you even do this, there's something that I typically do. There's one skill that if you start doing it, you're going to start seeing a lot of changes. Are you with me? Let me know in the chat if you're with me. I want to check right now if you're with me. So let me know. Let me know if you are with me. Let me know. Let me know if you're with me in the comments. Let me know. Let me know. I'm checking. Okay. Let me know if you're following. Let me know if you're following. Great, 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 great. Great. So, what you want to do is find a paragraph, like I said, find a paragraph at your child level, then have them read it out loud, then close the book, and then ask them 3 questions. Number one, ask what happened in that paragraph. What this does is that it tests basic recall. So you want to ask them, oh, what did you do? What just happened? And then let them retell you that story. What a better way to do this is by creating a structure in your home. I've talked about structure sometime in this program or in one of my lives, I think in the last few days or so. And I thought that one of the fastest things you can do is to create a structure where your child reads every day. Now, reading in this context may not even necessarily mean reciting and reading every day for you. It could mean having a situation where they teach you something every day. So this could be one example of what teaching of what your child teaching you every day, what it could look like, right? So this test basic recall. Then secondly, ask why did it happen? What this does is that it tests cause and effect. And then three, ask them what do you think happens next. What this does is that it tests their prediction and inference. So inference is like what are they picked up from this thing that they just learned? What are they saying? If your child nails all three, then they're comprehending, they're actually reading. If they cannot answer the first one, but they struggle with two and three, they are in the middle. If they are getting some meaning but not going deep, if they can't answer any of them, then they are just simply decoding. They are not reading, they are performing. And before you panic, this is fixable, okay? Comprehension is comprehension is a skill you can build. It starts with asking questions while reading. Before you finish a page, you stop and ask what just happened. You can make it a conversation, not a test. Over time, the child's brain starts doing this automatically. They start reading for meaning instead of just reading for sound. All right, I'll give you a quick story. A girl came to us. She was in primary five. She was the best reader in her class. Her parents were proud. The teacher praised her. She could read anything out loud. But in our assessment, when we gave her a passage and asked her comprehension questions, she scored below average. The mom came to the call. She was like, "Why would you people just scream and scold my child?" I was like, "Well, she could read every word on the page, but she couldn't tell us what the story was about." There's this thing that parents do most of the time that really pisses me off, which is when you want to change, but then when you confront change, you become defensive about it. This mom was so adamant. She was saying, "Oh, maybe the child was," she kept making excuses. "Oh, this child, maybe she was tall, maybe she was not comfortable, or maybe she was tense, or maybe she didn't." And I was like, "Ma, when are we exactly going to talk about the fact that your child could read this thing so fluently but doesn't understand a single thing out of what they read?" And so it's one thing to want change, it's another thing to be able to see it and want to confront it when it happens. The child couldn't identify the main character's problem. They couldn't predict what would happen next. After so many back and forth, the parents were like, I didn't know. And for that reason, that was the only reason why they brought her in. And then we worked on the comprehension strategies with her. We taught her, we helped her with this for 3 months, because that's typically how we work in per term, because we know that a month doesn't really do anything. So we don't do anything monthly. And once we worked on comprehension strategies with her, her performance in every subject improved, not just English, everything, because every subject requires you to read and understand. That's the truth. So most of the time, and we see this a lot, there are so many people who are educated but they don't have comprehension. When I'm typically very active on Twitter, and then I see some arguments, and the first thing that comes to my brain is, does this person understand something? Like, is this person's brain still working? So comprehension is a big thing. Is what we're talking about is the gaps that we see in everyday education. And if nobody calls this out, you won't even know that they exist. So here's what I want you to do today. Like I said, try the 2-minute test tonight. Read, close, and ask questions. And then drop a comment below and tell me what happened. I want you to do it and then come back to this particular video and then tell me what happened. I read every single one and I'm curious what you find. Okay, I'm curious what you find. Tell me, did this today's session, did it give you value? Did you learn something? Did you learn something today? Did you learn something today? Now, if you learned something, I want to ask you a question. Do you know someone else? Do you know someone else who might benefit from being here every morning, from listening or watching this particular video? Do you know someone? Maybe you have a sister, maybe you have a coworker, maybe you have a friend, or maybe you have a neighbor, maybe you have a boss. Is there anybody who you think absolutely needs this. Ms. Faywan says absolutely amazing. Now, what I want you to do, what I want you to do is for you to share this video with them. Take this link, take the link, and then share this video with them, because the truth is we rise by lifting others, right? We rise by lifting others. We rise by lifting others. If you find or if you stumble on something good and you share with other people, then those people are going to like you more and say that you're a good person. And we all want to be good people, right? Someone is asking what's the second question that you have to ask. The second one is, why did it happen? Why did it happen? That's, we are trying to get cause and effect. You're trying to get cause and effect. All right. And tomorrow's session is very I'm looking up to it, which is the age your child's brain changes and why it matters. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, but there is a point. It gets a point. Your child's brain changes. It gets to a point, and their brain changes. It doesn't. It's no longer the child that you know like that. A lot of things now change, and so it gets to an age. It gets to an age, right? And when it gets there, there's a lot of, you have to act differently. You have to act differently. So in tomorrow's session, I'm going to share this with you. Thank you very much for staying to the end of this video, and have a great day.